Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dark Energy Tuesday. I'm Christy.
I'm Sophie, and today we have a very exciting episode for you. We talk about Remy Bader and that whole saga that's happening right now. A little Alex Cooper and Alex Earl update, as well as Chappell Roan going on Call Her Daddy and getting some backlash for that. The Karen Reed documentary on Max, our thoughts on that, and also potential Lauren Spierer update. So we have some true crime stuff to go over, and then also our dark energy objects of the week.
Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
Sophie, how was your birthday? I need to know
Christy,
everything.
it was really fun. Look at us in our spring colors, by the way. If you're watching us on YouTube, once again, I'm sorry, we are no longer on Spotify video. Long story, you guys. We got some bad business advice. When you're in the biz, you gotta be careful about who you trust. Um,
PSA, though, for anyone who has a podcast, do not put your video on Spotify. It dilutes your numbers and it's
yes.
not good. And our numbers were being heavily diluted because we were throwing shit on Spotify when it should have been exclusively on YouTube. So go check out our YouTube channel at
Yeah.
Snarkbait Pod.
Go check us out on YouTube. We're wearing spring colors. It was beautiful weather this weekend. I did some brunch and day drinking. I was telling Chrissy actually that I went to Monkey Bar for brunch on Saturday. And one of my followers, probably a baby snark, replied and she goes, "You're down here, I'm up here." And she was quoting Kelly Bensimon, early Roni, when she met Bethany Frankel at the Brass Monkey.
Classic mix up.
It's a different bar with the word monkey in it, which I thought was so funny. But I so appreciate the reference. But yeah, it was gorgeous spring weather here in New York during the day, and then it turned freezing by nighttime. And by the time that Henry and we saw Nikki Glazer Saturday night. Henry got us tickets for my birthday, which was so much fun. She was hilarious. Love Nikki Glazer. Again, if you want to know something that we do like, I know we talk about things that we hate a lot on Dark Energy. Love Nikki Glazer. She is hysterical. Chrissy, did you ever watch F Boy Island?
No, I think you had asked me this when we were FaceTiming the other night, but a lot of my friends in real life were telling me you would love this show. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. RIP, they canceled it. But yeah, so it was a really fun weekend celebrating my big three blink beep. You don't need to know exactly how old I turned.
Was she funnier than you expected? The same, less funny?
She was hysterical. And so was her opener named Tommy Brennan. I'd never heard of him, but he is another comedian. He was hilarious also. So I discovered someone new to follow and check out. How was your weekend, Christy?
So interestingly enough, my friend Sarah, she got tickets for us to go to a comedy show last night as well. And I was like, oh my God, me and Sophie are both at comedy shows. I saw Natasha Leggero. Have you heard of her?
No, I don't think so.
So she was good. I I expected, I don't know, I saw this one comic and I think I might have talked about him in an earlier episode of Snarkbait. His name is Fahim Anwar, and that was the last person that I had seen at that same Irvine Improv. He was so funny, I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard, tears were streaming down my face. And I think I was maybe expecting like part two of that. And it wasn't as funny. She was still funny. She was still great. We love a female comic, out there shaking that thing. But I was like, oh my God, Sophie and I are both at comedy shows. And then one of my friends, she hosted a game night and she has a pizza oven. And if I don't say so myself, shout out to Brooke, I was flipping pizzas like it was no one's business. Like she was
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
God.
I think I might have found my new calling if this in accounting doesn't work out for me.
Oh my God. Imagine having like a friend with a pizza oven, casual.
It was
Uh,
really fun. It was
that's
really fun.
so much fun. A pizza making night. Oh my God, I love that. And also, yeah, I love a good comedy show. It's like such an instant pick me up. Like that psychological thing where if you're smiling, if you just smile, it actually does hee hee make your mood better. But yeah, a night laughing, of course it's gonna make you happier.
Are
So we're in good
you,
moods today. We're in good moods
yeah,
for
and Sophie,
once.
so Sophie had a fabulous birthday. You went to like a really trendy restaurant on your actual birthday. How was
Oh
that?
yeah. Oh my God, you guys. So like I'm famously anti-trendy restaurants, but I don't know, something like got into me where I was like, I want to go to the Nines. And it's this very trendy like piano bar. And it's like hard to get in, which again, I'm anti any restaurant where it's like hard to get in or make a reservation. But I was like, I don't know, I was in a trendy mood. So we somehow, I found a reservation on Resi. I was like, okay, we might as well just go. It was so overrated, you guys. This is why I don't like trendy restaurants.
It'll always let you down.
It'll always let you down. Like the vibes were cool and it was like good. It wasn't like the best meal of my life. It definitely was overpriced. The service was terrible.
Mm.
I almost want to call them out on Instagram and then see if they like invite me back for free, you know?
Give you like an influencer discount,
Influencer
a
discount.
collab.
Free caviar. Actually, I
Yeah.
did discover that I do like caviar. I wasn't sure.
It's good. It's
I
good.
wasn't sure, but it turns out I do like caviar a lot. It was delicious. The caviar was. The rest of the food, it was like it was fine. So yeah, I still think that trendy restaurants are like dark energy in general.
Speaking of dark energy, I think there is so much to cover on today's outline. And
Hmm.
Sophie and I were like, all right, we have 9 million things on this outline. What do we want to cover? And I think the most pressing topic that we absolutely need to cover is the Remy Bader weight loss interview that she did with Khloe Kardashian.
Oh God. Christy, did you listen to this podcast or watch it?
To be honest, like as a girly recovered from my eating disorder, I would probably find it really triggering. And I think I'm actually really past it at this point that it wouldn't have me sink into old behaviors. I really don't even want to give this woman meaning
Hmm.
Remy Bader, a platform anymore. I'm so sick and tired of hearing her gaslighting her entire audience. And I know
Hmm.
you've written like a whole dissertation on it on the outline. And I'm curious, like, obviously it's been blowing up the internet. All I see on TikTok is commentators just commentating on like what she had to say and how pissed people are. And what do you think is exactly the reason, Sophie, why people are so triggered by this interview?
So there are a lot of reasons, and we have talked about Remy Bader, but we have a whole episode about her. And actually, ironically enough, she was on our outline last week for Dark Energy Tuesday, and
Before,
we didn't get to it. And this was before all of this came out. And I was like, I think it's so fucked up that she deletes all of these comments from people, and she's like, "Don't talk about my body. Don't ask me about weight loss surgery." And then the comments that are like, you're so skinny. She leaves up, but you're not supposed to comment on her body. So anyway, for context, if you guys missed this, Remy Bader is a huge TikToker who has lost a rapid amount of weight in the past year. So there's been a lot of speculation. Again, you probably have listened to our Remy Bader episode if you've gone back and listened to all of our episodes. It was one of our earliest ones. And it was never confirmed that she got weight loss surgery, but it was heavily speculated. So she went on none other than a Kardashian's podcast, Khloe Kardashian's podcast, to confirm the fact that she had gotten weight loss surgery. And it's funny because and I wrote this on the outline also. I recorded a 10-minute TikTok rant about this, and then my phone froze because I have like an iPhone like 13 or whatever,
no, that's the
and I
worst.
lost all of it. And it was
Oh,
such a good rant. And it was like, I was walking with Baxter. I was like, really like, just like, I was like
feeling
ranting.
yourself.
I was feeling myself. I had a
Yeah.
really good rant and then I lost all of it. So I hope I
Mm.
get to all. Has that ever happened to you before, Christy?
Yeah, it has. And it's like I just spent an hour and a half on my phone only for it to go poof. It's like it's devastating.
Oh my God. I was like, how do I even recreate this? I lost the light. I lost the light. It was like sundown.
Yeah.
So okay, so I listened to the podcast and I read the article in Self magazine, I think it's called. Self, Shape, Self.
Yeah. Same
I
thing. Yeah.
Whatever, one of those magazines, health magazines. Anyway, s- she did, I think, what was the best thing for her physical health. And I am going to say that off the bat. There's nothing wrong with losing weight for your health or losing weight if you want to lose weight. That's not the issue here. The issue is her gaslighting her followers for over a year, and I will get to that. But listening to the podcast, she was having some serious, serious health issues. She had a limp. She couldn't walk normally anymore. She
Wow.
had a constant period, Her doctor told her that she was on the brink of infertility, becoming infertile from her weight.
Wow.
She hadn't had a normal blood test in years. She had a fatty liver. Uh, she just had she was sweating so much to like all of this was affecting her work, right? Because she has to travel around. She has to go to on brand trips and work with brands. And she was sweating. She was uncomfortable in her own body. It
Yeah.
was hard to live in her body. She was upwards of 300 something pounds.
Jesus
And so I'm going to say off the bat that if you have to lose weight or get medical intervention to lose weight for your health to live on this planet, then absolutely. We are not judging that. We are not judging that
It's
at all.
encouraged, especially if you have the means to do it and you can.
Yes,
Absolutely. If she were a family member of mine, I would absolutely encourage it.
exactly. Exactly. So I think what her followers are taking issue with is not that. They recognize the fact that, like, I think there are some people that are like, well, you were supposed to be my comfort plus size creator. So there are probably some people that are just mad that she lost weight. But I think the vast majority of them are mad at the gaslighting. So
Mhm.
for the past year, when people have made comments about how have you lost weight or whatever it is, and she is saying on this podcast, well, they didn't guess the specific surgery that I got, which was a Sadie S surgery. And it's kind of like a newer procedure that combines a gastric sleeve with gastric bypass. I don't know. So, on a technicality, she's like, well, they didn't guess the exact surgery, which, by the way, someone on TikTok was like, I did guess that surgery. And she still deleted my comment and gaslit me. She was blocking people and deleting their comments and also villainizing
Mhm.
Ozempic and not just saying, and people are like, well, it didn't work for her. She was saying it didn't work for her, but also was saying, guys, Ozempic, you can have long term health issues from that. So trying to gatekeep how she lost weight and also looking down at people that lose weight by other means. She lost 140, she's at 140 pounds in less than a year, which is insane. And her followers this entire time were like, well, how did you, like, I am so
Yeah.
confused. Like, how did you do it? And she is saying that she gets off on a technicality because no one guessed her exact procedure and also lying by omission in her opinion is not lying, and that is kind of the hill that she's trying to die on. It she's like, well, I wasn't lying, I just didn't want to tell you guys. But she was implying that it was diet and exercise, you guys, and heartbreak. She
Yeah.
was fully implying. There were many videos where she was like, guys, she was at the gym.
Hmm. Yeah, we did. Our whole episode was about like all of her Instagram, TikToks, reels about her,
Mhm.
pumping iron at the gym. I got this
Pumping
body
iron.
naturally. Yeah.
She's always on that one machine where you like lift. It's the one machine, you know what I'm talking
You
about.
kick your legs up and you're holding yourself up
Yeah.
through your upper body. Yeah.
Yeah. And like so many people were literally just like, a lot of people were just concerned too. They weren't even being like, what's your secret? A lot of people were
Yeah.
like, wow, you are losing weight at a really rapid pace. Like, are you doing it in a healthy way? Are you okay? You know, there were people that were genuinely concerned for her, and she would still block them and she would delete their comments and she would gaslight. And she was also just really fucking mean in her
Hmm.
comments. And I think that that's also the thing that people are taking issue with. It's like, you were really mean to your followers.
Yeah.
You were really mean for the past year.
Yeah.
And I do understand, and I want your opinion on this, obviously, Christy. Like, it is not anyone's quote unquote business what someone does with their body, but it is when your body is your business. You know,
Yeah.
like she has made this her brand. And I'm not saying that she has necessarily been this body positive. And she makes it clear. She's like, guys, I've never loved my plus size body. I call myself body neutral. And we talk about this
Right.
on our
Yeah.
episode that she sees her body more as just like well, it is what it is. You know, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily love being plus size. Fine. But you have made your body your platform. You have
Yeah.
done realistic plus size hauls. That has been your platform.
Right. And you've profited off of that platform
Yes.
by having people purchase through your like to know it's and affiliate links. Like you have literally built a brand and a business and have become incredibly wealthy and successful through your body. So yes, you do owe us an explanation when it has drastically changed. And while you were talking, I was actually kind of thinking about the way in which the conversation about women's bodies has arisen today. And the person that comes up to my mind initially is actually Ariana Grande, who's on the opposite side of the
Hmm.
spectrum, someone who's always been pretty petite and who's lost an insane, exorbitant amount of weight over the last 2 years. And I think that we're often conditioned, especially now with so much female empowerment and like it's almost like it's like what Chappell Roan says, the feminine phenomenon. Like we're at this whole wave of feminism, which is incredible and great. But I think when you have a body, for instance, like Ariana Grande's, when her weight is so thin and low and her BMI must be so low, it's almost reminding me of like a Karen Carpenter, if you're familiar with that singer from the 70s,
Yes,
who died from
yes.
anorexia.
Yep.
And you're seeing someone who so desperately looks like they need medical
Mhm.
intervention. And the commentating on Ariana's body is not to judge or to be how we talked about Britney Spears' body in like the 90s. It's a different conversation of like your body has changed so much to the point where you look like you were truly malnourished and your health and safety is actually at risk. So I think like
Mhm.
that's a conversation where like she always claps back Ariana and will say things like, when are we going to stop having conversations about women's bodies and you just don't know what's going on? And to me, that's such a deflection of like, no, this is just a health and safety concern at this point. And I think we
Mhm.
are very much within our right when you were up on our screens looking so frail and sickly that if we're coming from a cause and
Mhm.
concern, that's not us judging or commentating in a way that's nasty. It's just
Mhm.
true concern. And I think you have someone like Remy Bader where she's almost using that, weaponizing that same, you can't commentate on a woman's body. How dare you say that about me? This is my body. I can choose what I want to do with it. Absolutely. All of that is correct. And like you're saying, for a health and safety concern, you were clearly in need of a significant weight loss to be a
Mhm.
healthy individual. But at the same time, you have a duty and an honor when you have built your business on being this relatable, bigger girl doing these clothing hauls. When people have questions, it is up to you to answer them in a respectful way, especially when they're bringing up things that actually, in fact, happened. And
Yep.
what I will say about Remy Bader, and I actually, truth be told, if I take myself out of it a little bit from like the snarkiness of this all, I actually feel very sad for her because no matter what surgery she's going to get to manipulate her body, that doesn't change the brain. If she
Mhm.
has struggled with binge eating disorder, which she has been very open about, unless you do the work to heal, work with nutritionists, work with therapists, work with dietitians, psychiatrists, you will gain that weight back no matter
Mhm.
what. So
Mhm.
it's on you to make maybe take a responsibility to really like look at yourself within to understand like, okay, you're small today, but what will that mean in 5, 10 years? Like you
Mhm.
need to change up here. And I genuinely feel sorry for her that she will live in a perpetual state of self-hatred if she does not address what's going on upstairs mentally.
Hmm. And I think that's why a lot of people also had questions is that she's turned into a mukbang account this past year. So while she was rapidly losing weight, she would be eating on camera. She'd be getting Chick-fil-A, like whatever it is. And people are like, wait, so you're losing all this weight, but you're eating Chick-fil-A every night. And it seems like you haven't really addressed the root of the issue, which is your binge eating disorder, which you've been really, really, really like open about, which is
Honest,
great.
which is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reducing the stigma is great.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what else I think is interesting is that and you're so right that like if she doesn't address kind of like her and I think it's very clear that she, no matter what weight she is really just a deeply unhappy individual. And I think that no one hates Remy more than Remy, honestly, which is
Yeah,
sad. That's a
it is
sad
sad.
place to be. But what I think is interesting is that she was on The Toast a couple years ago
Hmm.
talking to
I know,
Claudia.
I know which
You
interview you're
know what
talking
I'm
about
going to
because
say?
I remember watching it. Yeah.
And she was saying how much it bothers her that people lose weight and are not open about it and even
Yeah.
choose to lie and say it's just working out or eating healthier when it's actually Ozempic. So she, before it was her in that position, she was the one criticizing and saying how damaging it is when people lose weight and then they're not open about how they're losing it via Ozempic or in her case, surgery.
I
So I
recall her
think
using Adele. I remember that conversation. She goes, Adele, oh, I was working out after the divorce and now I have this banging body, this revenge body. And she was pissed because she's like, I just feel like I can't relate to you anymore.
yeah. And it's funny because Adele didn't get famous because of her body. Adele got famous because of her singing. So Adele, it's actually completely, Adele doesn't really owe us anything if you really think about it. And I also understand Remy being like, well, and when I was listening to Chloe's podcast with Remy, I was like, you know what? Like it does kind of make sense. Like Remy was like, I don't really like I'm coming to terms with this. I'm coming to terms with how my body is changing and what my new life looks like. And I don't think weight loss surgery is like the easy way out at all because it sounds like there are a lot of dietary and lifestyle changes you do, which Remy admitted that she has not done a good job of
Mm,
doing. So on Chloe's podcast, how she was like, like I'm coming to terms with this. I need to like really like I'm not ready to talk about it because I don't even know what's happening yet. So I do understand that to an extent. What I don't understand again is the lying and the gaslighting and the being fucking mean to her followers. And that is what people are mad about. And again, it's like, I don't know anyone anything, but you kind of do. You are a business now. And I love how many people are coming out of the woodwork and being like, you are a business. And not only has your content changed, your personality has changed. Like you are
mhm.
so mean now. And I think that her PR team has probably advised her to stop liking comments and deleting comments. But there's a barrage of negative comments, obviously, on her TikTok. And then there was one comment clapping back at one of the negative comments and being like, imagine getting this worked up over what a stranger does with her body. And Remy liked that comment. I took a screenshot of it because I was like, I can't believe this. Her PR team was probably like, you need to stop because all of a
Yeah.
sudden your followers, you're a stranger to your followers.
Yeah.
You love the perks of being, famous and influential until you're being held accountable. So like
Yes.
you act like your followers are your friends, your family, like that's how these influencers act. But all of a sudden you are a stranger to them. They don't know anything about you suddenly, really. And I actually really liked I liked what this creator named Francesca Ramsey. She had a really good point. She said the core tenets of Remy's brand were plus size, relatable, honest. She's lost all of them.
Mm,
You are no longer plus size, which again, it's like, well, if this is, her new body now, that's fine. That's not the issue to me. I think that's the issue maybe to some people, like I said. The real issue is that she was dishonest and not relatable. Like she lied. She did lie by omission. She 1000% lied. And it was also the fact that she went on a Kardashian podcast to do
yeah.
it
Yeah.
and just really not understanding how many young girls and plus size people I've come across so many TikToks. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
You said that it's all over your For You page of
Yeah.
people being like, I was really like fucking like crashing out watching Remy's content over the past year because I was like, how is she doing it? How I've been trying to lose weight and it's not falling off of me like it's fallen off of her. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I don't think she's ever gonna realize how much damage she has done because she's a mean bad person is what I've kind of gathered from all of this that she is a mean and she's still kind of doubling down as you can see from the comments that she's liking and she's still like linking old interviews where she's like, see, I never said I was body positive. And it's like that's not the issue.
No, it's not the issue. Yeah, and I'm harkening back to this book that I read. Her name is Andy Mitchell, and it's this book titled "It Was Me All Along," and it talks about how she has historically grown up in like a very big body, and she lost weight through actually truly through diet and exercise. This was like in the 2010s before Ozempic and all that was a thing, and basically the crux of the whole book, at the end was no matter what weight you are, you think if someone lives in a bigger body, you think if I just lose, in Remy's case, 140 pounds, I am going to be this person. I'm going to conquer the world. I'm going to be successful. Men will like me. But what Andy Mitchell really focused on, which I thought was like so beautifully put, was that no matter what your body looks like, your mind is literally still the same. So I think
Mhm.
almost like Remy is kind of relying on the fact that, well, when I am this body, my ex-boyfriend will love me again, or I will be followed and be
Mhm.
miraculously beloved. When in fact, it's like you're just losing the audience that really did have such a strong
Yep.
parasocial relationship with you. And at the end of the day, Remy, your brain is still the same. So
Yep.
until you work on that, your body is merely a vehicle to move around, and people are just losing interest. And I'm curious of what you think, Sophie. Do you think she is going to see waning success, or do you think this will only increase her star power? Because that's what I've struggled with.
I think that she's gonna have to pivot to some like she's completely alienated the followers that made her so successful and so famous. Her original, again, the ones that followed her because she was relatable, honest, and plus size. she's alienated them. So I think that she's just gonna have to pivot. And I saw one TikTok speculating that she's gonna be like all like wellness and woo-woo now and maha, which I can't see her
Nah.
doing personally because my girl loves Chick-fil-A. I had Chick-fil-A for dinner last night.
That
Like
sounds so
I
good.
don't think that's on brand for her at all. But I think she's going to end up pivoting, and I think this really is extremely damaging to her career. She's gotten a ton of backlash, and I think it's so interesting that I think that she thought just coming out with the interview and admitting it finally, because clearly she said, it's been eating me up inside, and I've been feeling really guilty hiding this, as she should. It's been over a year. By the way, in case you haven't been following this as closely. She got the surgery in December 2023. So it has
Wow.
been over a year now
A
that she
month
has been
and
hiding
yeah.
this secret. And now she's retroactively posting this old content. And people are like, no, we're not just going to clap now. You gaslit us for over a year. And you were really, again, really mean. Did you see also what her ex-boyfriend posted, Christy?
Of course, the Pinocchio nose with the cap.
With the cap. So she was saying, that her boyfriend, her boyfriend at the time, now ex-boyfriend, obviously, who's moved on into what I follow him from a burner account. He seems extremely happy now. Good for him. She was saying on Chloe's podcast how he was like, I'm not attracted to you anymore since you put on the weight. And he was like gaslighting her and all of these things. And I'm not one to defend some random ex-boyfriend. But I don't know. He's accusing her of lying. And I also think that, if your significant other gains 20 pounds and you're like, you've gained too much weight, then like, yeah, that's bad. I think in her case that it reached a point where it was really inhibiting her lifestyle.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
It was like she even said she was
Yeah.
like, I could not move, I could not walk.
God, that sounds so hard.
I was extremely unhappy. She was extremely depressed.
Yeah.
Um, if that's and she gained, during that relationship, she gained like close to 100 pounds during that relationship. And that's also like her and Chloe were talking about like love weight that you put on because you're laying in bed so much and you're just kind of happy and whatever that happens. But to kind of, I don't know, to villainize someone who was like, wow, this is this, and I don't know exactly. This is speculatory,
That both sound great.
speculatory. This is obviously I'm speculating, but maybe he was like, I don't know if I can handle this. Like this is a lot. Like she can't walk. Like I don't know. I'm not justifying why someone. In my mind, he may have broken up with her because her fucking personality sucks.
Yeah.
Like she's mean. She's a mean person. We've kind of
Yeah.
gathered that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very interesting that he's accusing her of lying during this interview. I mean, she's clearly lied a lot in the past year.
Right. And I remember seeing a post on Reddit of her like crashing out in her bathtub. And I think she said like she wasn't going to be around her family. She wanted to isolate herself from her family. And I just feel like I'm not like a huge follower of her. I just kind of see her on Reddit and on TikTok. I get the sense that she crashes out like often and it's
Hmm.
very public. And I just
Hmm.
feel like, and that was post weight loss and everything. She needs to take care of her mental and stop focusing on external validation of people just cheering her on because she's all of a sudden quote unquote thin. Like
Yeah.
Remy, you need to be happy with Remy. You need to love yourself, and it's going to be a
Hmm.
long journey. And being a quarter the size that you once were is not going to all of a sudden remediate that.
Right. And she even says that on the podcast that she did with Chloe. She was like, when he said that, I was like, "You're just like my family. You're just like everyone else." She alluded to the fact that her family has made, comments about her weight her entire life, and that's something that like, a mom will do as I have a sister, I have a mom, I have a crazy Jewish mother, just like Remy does, and yeah, it's like that I could never fully understand what Remy has gone through, obviously. But a lot of the time it does come from a place of concern,
Yeah.
But she was very critical of her family on this podcast, which I thought was very interesting.
Critical of her family on her Instagram too. Like I just
Yeah.
remember her posting pictures and videos of herself sobbing while she was naked in the bathtub. I'm like, dude, this is not normal. This just feels like a mental breakdown in real time. And it just
Hmm.
feels quite literally dark energy in like not in a
Yeah.
funny way that we use in
Yeah.
jest.
Yeah, everything about Remy is dark energy, honestly. And yeah, I'm happy again after learning more about her serious health struggles. I'm very happy that she is healthier now. She said that she's had the first like normal blood test in over 5 years since losing this
Great.
weight. She's
That's amazing.
completely healthy now. Amazing.
Yeah.
But like it does not make it okay the way that she treated her followers and gaslit people. She has 2 point something, I think 2.3 million TikTok followers.
Her reach is
Like,
astounding. It really
yes.
is.
Yes.
And she has a responsibility, whether you like it or not, to be at
Hmm.
least a little bit open and honest with your followers. And if you don't even want to tell them the 100% truth, don't block people or delete comments when they call out the reality.
While leaving up the ones that are calling you skinny. Don't talk about my body, but you can call me skinny.
Yeah.
And in the body checking and the mukbangs, it's just like no wonder she's been bleeding Instagram followers. I don't know about her TikTok ones, but and I say this on the Remy episode that I have been a Remy fan since I first found her on TikTok.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You've
now
been
I'm like,
OG.
yeah, I'm an OG Remy fan, and now I'm completely disgusted by it. I feel like the mask has completely fallen. I'm like, you're a mean person. And that's what it comes down to. It's like you can lose all the weight you want. You are a mean person, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
That's my opinion.
that's my opinion.
Speaking of just mean, there's a lot of weird, not mean is not even the right word, but did you hear about this Alex Cooper Claire Gate that Dumois had alleged?
Yeah, I feel like it has to be fake, but like, tell us what it is.
Yeah, so I was listening to the Dumois podcast, which yes, I do in fact listen, and everyone gives me shit for it. But a listener had called in and told Dumois that there is an employee that works at the Unwell Network named Claire. And if you guys are not familiar, Matt, her Alex Cooper's husband, used to be married to the Vampire Diaries Claire Holt, for a period of time. And Alex Cooper was allegedly so triggered by the fact that this employee was named after her husband's ex-wife that she forced this Claire to basically change her name to like, I don't know what it was, Claire to Charlie or whatever. And I thought that was really interesting. I feel like Alex Cooper is just coming under a lot of attack, and I feel like a lot of allegations and rumors. And I think this whole Claire Holt gate thing kind of came off the heels of course, last month, Alex Earl was dropped from the Unwell Network, and Alex Earl was kind of playing it coy. She posted a TikTok saying, I know you guys have been reading a lot about me on the internet, and I too have no idea what's going on. And finally, Alex Earl breaks her silence just over the last week. She posted a TikTok saying, I'm making the difficult decision to basically not do the podcast any longer. It could come back in the future. I don't know yet. But I'm going to release like this new Alex Earl vlogs that I'll be posting on YouTube, da 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 da. And so everyone obviously was like, wait a minute, why isn't Alex Earl podcasting anymore? Is there like an IP issue? Is she disallowed from using the Hot Mess IP because Alex Cooper is withholding it from her? Everything was swirling on the internet. And of course, Alex Cooper took to her Instagram to write, hi, I see your comments. Alex not being able to podcast has nothing to do with Unwell. I don't know why she cannot slash what is going on. Unwell gave her everything back. She owns her IP. I learned from the best at Stool Presidente.
Ugh.
And our group chat was blowing up because we're like, for someone like Alex Cooper, who platforms herself on being such a female empowerment type podcast, you lift up other women. You were then lifting up the man who has sexual assault allegations against him. She's just a walking contradiction, Alex Cooper. And I think everyone is starting to see it. The mask, to your point about Remy's mask falling off, I feel like Alex Cooper's mask is falling
Mhm.
off and people are not buying it anymore. And people are, I feel like the majority of the internet is on team Alex Earl.
She's such a fraud. She's such a fraud. I'm sorry. I learned from the best, Dave Portnoy. That's the best. And you're supposed to be some female empowerment feminist icon. Like fuck all the way off with that. That's insane to me. It's insane. And I also with the Claire Holt stuff,
Hmm.
like isn't there like a theory that Alex has gotten like work done to look more like Claire?
Yeah, Alex Cooper she's always been so pretty, but she has looked a little different. And I don't know if it's just because of age, when you age, you lose volume in your face
And when you
or
get
like
lots
what.
of money, you start to, the face is looking a little tighter. It's a little
Yeah.
snatched, a little more snatched.
What do you think are the enhancements that she's gotten to kind of resemble Claire Holt allegedly?
I have no idea, you guys. I'm not like a a plastic surgery expert. I did have my Botox appointment last week. So I'm maybe looking a little like fresher.
More
I'm a
snatched.
little more snatched, but I've gotten like under eye filler in the past, but
Me too.
I'm reaching the point where I'm like, do I need the little like cheek filler? I don't know. I don't know. But there's so many really subtle procedures, and that's the thing with Alex Cooper is that it's all very subtly done. But that's like a little theory is like she's trying to look like her husband's ex, Claire Holt.
Yeah, and all these allegations about like her making the person at Unwell Network change her name, it just seems so egregious. Like that's such a weird thing to make your employee do. But at the
Yeah,
same
that
time, it's
seems
like
insane.
that's a wild thing to make up out of your ass if that is just a rumor.
I feel like that's too crazy to be true. Like there's no way that's true. It's the name Claire. Like that's a pretty common name. It's not like the most like unique like Marigold or something like that. Like, like that's a
Yeah.
pretty like common name.
I could
Like,
see Alex Cooper being like joking, like, can we not call you Claire? Can we just call you like C? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then Dumas took that and ran with it. Like I
yeah.
don't know, maybe it was like a joke in pass.
Yeah, it had to have been like exaggerated. I just like think that's too insane to be true. But like who knows? Who
Who
knows?
knows?
Also, did you see Chappell Roan's? I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing, but did you see clips of Chappell Roan on Call Her Daddy? She's getting a lot of
Yeah.
backlash for that interview.
Yeah, Chaperone just loves to complain. It's
Yeah,
too much.
she basically spends, from what I've seen, the entire episode complaining about how hard it is to be successful, busy, booked, influential, wealthy, prominent, famous, everything. So I just like, shut the fuck up. Shut
The
up.
Shut up. The thing with Chapel Roan is she's so fucking talented, and
Yeah.
I find myself just like head bopping. I'm like in the car, windows down. I'm like, like I'm loving her. I love her music. I think she's just what we need in this time of music, in this generation of artists. But it's just like when you were so deeply unlikable, it makes it really hard for me to like
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy your music to the
Yep.
fullest extent. And
Yeah.
there are so many people that have been like clawing their way to get their music heard by labels and having the success that she has. And it's like, I totally don't want to underestimate how difficult it must be to go from absolutely nobody, no one knows your name, to everyone knowing your name. I'm not going to undermine that and say that that's not difficult. I imagine that's a very anxiety provoking for someone who may have already like really generalized anxiety. At the same
Hmm.
time, that's something that you can kind of maybe meddle and keep down and talk about with your friends and family, maybe a therapist. You don't need to go on national podcast, national TV and continue to
Hmm.
complain because it comes off really ungrateful. And again, you can be ungrateful for all this attention and be pissed about it. You don't need to speak on it publicly.
Yeah, it's like no one feels bad for you. Sorry. Like waking up to work in my cubicle 5 days a week or whatever it is, it's like we don't feel bad for you. And just again complaining about how hard it is to be influential and people are like looking to her for like opinions on things. And it's like, yeah, you have a platform and you're very lucky to have one. Like,
You know what
why
it
are you complaining about that?
You know what it kind of reminds me of is Good Charlotte's lifestyles of the rich
The
and the
rich and the
famous,
famous, they're always complaining, always
always
complaining.
complaining.
Sorry to the people that hate when we sing. Sorry.
But you have to admit that's a bop, and that's exactly how I feel about Chapel Roan because I feel like it's been a long time since we've had a
Yep.
celebrity be ungrateful for their fame. It's been a while.
It's been a hot min, and you know what? It never gets old. It never gets old,
And
Just
do you think her celebrity is going to dwindle because of this ungratefulness, or do you think she's going to continue producing bops and people are going to just let it slide?
I mean, it cannot help. She's so like
Yeah.
she's so new still on the scene that it's like the fact that she is this unlikable so early into her career is like that's not good. I'm sure her PR team is like you gotta reel it in. You gotta like maybe just like shut up because every time she opens her mouth, she's unlikable and she's annoying. So it's like if I were her team, I'd be like just like don't do interviews anymore. Just shut up, make good music. She makes amazing music. She's extremely talented. Shut up and make music.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's like, wait, what's that like when people were like to LeBron James, like, shut up and dribble? I'm like,
Yeah.
instead of talking about politics, like, shut up and dribble. I'm like,
Shut up and sing.
that's kind of what I want to say to her. Like, just
Yeah.
shut up and sing.
Yeah. No, for real. Um,
Oh my
Speaking
God.
of topical interviews and just things that have been making headlines, have you watched and completed the Karen Reed documentary on Max?
Yes. So, Christy, and we were both like, don't spoil it for me because we were watching the documentary. Like, I went in not knowing for some reason anything really about this case.
Same,
Like, I was completely like fresh eyes, and I was like, don't spoil it for me. I don't know what happens, even though it wraps when her first trial wrapped last year.
right?
It was like mid 2024. But yeah, I finished it, and yeah, anyway, yes,
Yeah,
go ahead.
so it's interesting because the Max documentary dropped a month ahead of her retrial taking place. So if you're
Hmm.
unfamiliar with the case, basically at a high level, Karen Reed and her boyfriend at the time, John O'Keefe, were out and about drinking with a bunch of other like Canton Police Department folks. They were kind of bar hopping. Then they went to a guy named Brian Albert's house. Karen Reed alleges that John O'Keefe left the car to go scope out inside, see if it was cool for them to come inside to kind of continue the party. John O'Keefe never came out, according to Karen Reed. She left. The next morning, he didn't come home. She returns back to Brian Albert's house where she last saw John. He was in the snow, dead. And there's a lot of theories on did Karen Reed hit him in anger
And
and
she got
leave.
charged. She got charged not even with like involuntary manslaughter, but second degree murder.
Yes, it was like vehicular manslaughter was one of the charges, and then the second degree murder. And I
Hmm.
think that come to find out, the jury actually did charge her with, I think they might have found her not guilty on the second degree murder, but the vehicular manslaughter, they were waffling. And that's where they could not
Hmm.
come to a decision. I may be screwing that up, but it was definitely on the second degree murder part. But the vehicular manslaughter charge is what they could not decide on. They were taking up to almost 4 days in deliberations before they realized that they could not, in good faith, make a decision. And that's why it ended up being a hung jury. But I think at before we dive into like things that I found were a bit holy in the prosecution's case, do you or do you not think that Karen Reed was guilty of the vehicular manslaughter charge?
I don't know what to think. I truly don't know. Like, I do not know. Nothing is adding up for me because I don't think any theory fully makes sense. Like, what are like the Karen Reed fans called? Because she has a diehard fan base, apparently. This documentary made it very clear that she has a lot of diehard fans. They're like the Swifties or the
Yeah.
Gigglers. Like, what are they?
The baby snarks.
They're the baby snarks. They're like the readers. I don't know, but
Yeah.
they're insane and obsessed with her. Um, I don't know what to think. And like, I do think it's interesting that the family who owned the house,
The
they got
Alberts.
the Alberts, they got rid of their dog, and he had markings on him that were consistent with a dog attack. And they were like, "So
Mhm.
whatever happened to Chloe, your dog, your German Shepherd?" And it turns out they got rid of her, Chloe, poor Chloe, the German
I know.
Shepherd, only months later after this happened, which I think is extremely suspicious.
It
But
is.
also, I think it's suspicious that obviously Karen had this broken tail light and some of his DNA was on her tail light.
Right.
And, there's a theory that, oh, that was planted, the DNA. But I'm like, was it though? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to think. And
Yeah.
also, I think, did we mention the fact that John O'Keefe was a police officer?
Right. Boston Police Department. Yep.
So I think that's why a lot of people are in Team Karen Reed because I think it's some cover
Yes.
up and some corruption situation because the other people that were there that night were other fellow police officers. So if there's anyone that's going to get away with murder, it's someone who's in law enforcement and able to, cover it up. I
Yeah.
don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I think that there are so many conflicting things that have come across on both the prosecution and the defense side, and I want to call it a couple things that would make me believe that the prosecution did not meet their criteria to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Because I think there are a couple theories and holes in the entire investigation that even if I do think, I think, listen, our justice system is innocent until proven guilty, and I think as hard as it is to say it's better to let a guilty man free than have an innocent man in jail. And that's what our entire justice system is
Hmm.
based upon. And I think that you could still think that Karen Reed is guilty, but at the same time feel like you cannot prove beyond that the prosecution did not do their diligence to prove beyond a
Hmm.
reasonable doubt that she was in fact guilty, and therefore you have to let her free. Because that's
Hmm.
that's how we keep innocent people out of jail, right? So I think I just want to preface with that, and this is what I think are a couple holes in their investigation that would make me think to say not guilty, even though there's
To
a
acquit
high
her.
probability that she did in fact hit him. So there was that butt dial between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert when they alleged to this day that they were sleeping. They said at around like 2:30 to like onward, they were asleep.
Hmm.
There was one call. I forgot if it was between Higgins to Albert or vice versa that went unanswered. Then within a couple minutes, the other person ended up calling back that other person, and the call did in fact go connected. That completely dismantles uh the allegations that Higgins and Albert both said that they were asleep at the time that John O'Keefe was allegedly like in and out of the house. So that part really confused me. There's like this butt dial thing that's very, very suspect.
Yeah.
Then there's a snowplow guy that at the time he said, listen, I have this Frankenstein snowplow and I can see like not just ahead of me, but also on the periphery sides. And the snowplow guy does know the Albert family. Canton, where John O'Keefe's body was found, is a very small town. Like it's like I apologize for people that are from the East Coast. I may be botching this, but it's either like a borough in the Boston, greater Boston
Uh-huh.
area. Everyone knows each other, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why the snowplow guy said with confidence, I know John O'Keefe was not sitting outside, was because he's like, I passed by the Albert house. I remember passing by the Albert house. I know the Albert family. I'm
Hmm.
very familiar with them. I did not see anybody. And then he says, when I made my route back and then passed by the Albert house a second time, I distinctly remember a Ford truck outside the house that was not already there, which completely upends the entire prosecution's timeline that Karen Reed hit him. He was outside in the cold and died of hypothermia. That part was
Hmm.
weird. There was also something where Jen McCabe is I think she is married she has some kind of, I forget the intertwinement, but she's like a family, like in-law of the Alberts. And there is history of, she's one who had that Haas long to die in cold for.
Yes.
And which
How is
obviously
that
is,
explained? I just don't understand how they like brush that off so easily. I'm just like, wait, what do you mean?
okay, so there were two expert witnesses from both the prosecution side and the defense side. The defense side says that she made that search at like 2:32 or whatever time at around the time that John O'Keefe died. But the prosecution counters that and says, no, 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 no. She didn't make that search at 2:30. She actually made it at 6:30 or when they actually found his body, when like they ended up calling for medical assistance. She made that search at 6:30, but she put it on a browser that was opened at 2:30. So it's like two very conflicting things from both the prosecution and the defense. It's like, did she make that and punch it in at 2:30, or did she make that search at 6:30 at a browser that was opened at 2:30? And no one can come to a conclusion as to what side is right or which expert witness is actually telling the truth. So that's how they were kind of able to get along, skirt around that, the prosecution. But what is very confusing to me is that Jen McCabe was deleting her call logs. And she had called because she was the one that was corresponding with John O'Keefe. Come inside,
Hmm.
here's the address, here's the directions, whatever. They were calling each other back and forth. And even a couple calls did go through when they had arrived at the house, Karen and John. But what confuses me is if she then was subsequently trying to get a hold of John, she called him, I think, upwards of like dozens of times, right? But then she went ahead and deleted those calls from her call log. But that, of course, is still in the metadata or whatever from her
Yeah.
phone carrier. But people were theorizing, okay, what if this conspiracy did in fact happen? What if the Albert dog, Chloe, did in fact attack John? He might have hit his head. He went unconscious. They then decided to plant his body outside in the snow and make it as if Karen Reed hit him. People were theorizing that Jen McCabe was trying to locate John's phone to basically plant the phone at his body after the dog may have attacked him. And I
Oh.
think regardless, it's very suspect she was deleting calls. I think that just in and of itself is
Yes.
very strange.
Yes, absolutely. And the fact that there were these like butt dials, like everyone was like butt dialing, like what are you guys hiding? There's like a
Right.
lot that just doesn't add up. And I agree with you that it seems like they had enough for an acquittal.
I think so, because I think there's just too much that isn't making sense for me to
Yeah.
say with certainty she in fact did this.
Right.
And I think
Right.
to your
There's too
broke,
much reasonable doubt.
it's too much reasonable doubt. And I think to your broken tail, like the fact that there was all this missing video footage. So I remember when Karen Reed said that she thought she broke her tail light when she had left the Albert residence, went back to John O'Keefe's house to stay with his nephew and niece. And she says,
Hmm.
no, 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 no. I think I broke my tail light when I was pulling in my car into the driveway. But of course, like the ring camera footage all of a sudden is like gone. They can't find the ring camera footage that would substantiate Karen Reed's claim that she did in fact hit her tail light, not by hitting John, but because when she got home, she
Right.
hit the car. So that's just gone. Then there's allegedly library footage that would have shown her broken tail light coming back from the Alberts back home when she was going to call it a night. That library footage is gone. Like there's so much footage that is just disappearing. And from what I've heard from people that live in the northeast area that are from Boston, they do say, listen, this police department is very corrupt. And John Proctor, who was boots on the ground in the investigation, was very much intertwined with the Albert family. Was very where there was text messages revealed that showed that he said, Karen Reed is toast. She's a see you next Tuesday. There's
Yeah.
literally like, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. So that in and of itself tells me like this is just botched from the very beginning.
Totally, totally. It seems like it's completely been compromised from the beginning. They also never searched the Alberts house, which is insane. It's insane that they never searched that house. That's where he literally was found dead in the yard. Um, so yeah, I just think that there should have been enough to acquit her. I don't know what's going to happen with the retrial. Uh, and also, speaking of true crime, the Lauren Spierer potential update,
Our
Christy.
our hearts just like sank, but we're also hopeful because if you guys have been following Snarkbait or XMSL or Soph_Ross on Instagram, we have been following the Lauren Spear case since inception. I mean, Sophie went to the same college at the same time as Lauren Spear, so it's very near and dear to Sophie's heart, obviously.
Hmm.
She was there when it happened. And this case has just taken my interest since it began. But there were human remains found at a construction site in Bloomington, a 7-minute drive from where Lauren was last seen at the Smallwood Apartments. And there's always been theories circulating on the internet that when the boys allegedly accidentally found her dead, whether she OD'd, she hit her head, whatever it may be, when she died, the boys freaked out and allegedly threw her body under a construction site where cement was being overlaid at the time. That's
Hmm.
always been a theory I've seen floating around the internet.
Yeah.
And now human remains were found, and everyone's wondering, is this just a coincidence? Could this be Lauren Spear? And it's not been confirmed yet, to be clear.
Yeah, it has not been confirmed. Christy and I were like texting about it when we found out, and we were like, I hope it is. I hope it is. Her family deserves closure. It's now been almost 14 years, which is insane.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, they deserve closure. And yeah, it would be nice for them to get that, as devastating as that would be. Uh it's just such a freaking sad case. And again, it's one that Christy and I have just been so invested in. So we wanted to touch on it. Ay, ay,
And if you
ay.
guys are interested in the case, there's a book called College Girl Missing by, I think his name is Sean Cohen. I think his name is Sean
Yeah, I
Cohen.
think Sean Cohen, and we both read it, and it was a fantastic book on
Really
the
good.
case.
I think he did a really good job. Obviously, please know that it's not an objective POV. He's worked very closely with the family really since the case started. So it's very much like in the eyes of kind of speaking on behalf of her family almost, but it really gives a clear picture into what exactly happened, what was her every move that night, and what was the
Hmm.
aftermath and how it has impacted her family and friends. So definitely
Hmm.
recommend it.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the last segment, dark energy
Yeah,
objects?
let's end on a lighter note.
What is
After all
yours?
of that sad stuff. Uh Mine is microplastics.
Okay, can you enlighten me on, I keep seeing this in like the health and wellness, like Maha kind of trend. Is it just, what does that mean exactly?
You guys, I am so Maha, and I am so like wait, did I just say I'm so Maha? I meant to say I'm so not Maha, and I'm so like I don't give a fuck about like organic or like this or that. But I work in the fashion industry full time, and I have been researching for work just the impact of the fashion industry on the environment. Obviously, there's a huge, huge environmental impact. It's actually one of the behind like oil and gas and a few other industries. The fashion industry makes up almost 1/4 of the global impact. I'm not phrasing this right at all, but it's one of the leading industries of pollution and
Yeah.
just environmental, just horrible things. You guys, I'm so not articulate right now. I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm not articulating this well.
you're making sense. It's like what you see a lot in like the health and wellness space. Michael drink out of a plastic
Yeah,
bottle.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So people talk about microplastics a lot, and I literally never give a fuck about them, but I am learning more as I'm doing more research for this work project that I've been working on. The fact that, like, obviously clothing materials like wool, linen, cotton, ones that come from the environment, even like minerals, like a real gold watch or piece of jewelry,
Yeah.
those are biodegradable, meaning when they eventually end up in a landfill somewhere or whatever it is, they will eventually biodegrade. The majority of clothes right now, I think it's probably around like 75% of things that people wear are synthetics, synthetic blends. So like nylon, polyester, acrylic.
Mhm.
And obviously those are more affordable, but those are non-biodegradable. So when they end up in a landfill, they're on this planet forever. They are completely
Yeah.
non-bio. They're so bad for the environment, obviously. But what's worse is that they shed microplastics that your body absorbs. And microplastics, it's been shown,
Hmm.
they're everywhere. It's just kind of unavoidable. But when you wear like an acrylic sweater that's not made of real wool, because who can afford a cashmere sweater in this economy, like a real one?
Yeah.
I do love Quince though, the brand Quince. If you guys have ever shopped from there, they have like real cashmere at like pretty decent prices. And Quince is not a podcast partner. This would be the perfect opportunity if you're listening, Quince, sponsor us.
Yeah, seriously.
But anyway, my point is that microplastics are seeping into your body all the time now because of how shitty these clothes are. And that does lead to health issues, unfortunately. They're going into your body. Isn't that so fucked up?
It's weirds me out to even think that like there could be plastic seeping through the pores of my like
Yes.
stomach and chest right now. It is weird to
Yes.
think about.
And I hate to say it, you guys. Like, I hate to like I don't want to think about it. It's just something that I've been reading about, so I wanted to share because it really is dark. It's literally dark how many
Yeah.
microplastics are just like seeping into you. And again, I'm not Maha.
No, yeah.
I usually don't give a fuck. I will have all of the corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. I don't care. I don't care how processed something is usually. But if things are seeping into my pores, then I get freaked out.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's fine if I ingest it through the mouth, but if it goes through my pores, that's where I draw the line.
And it's making me like a more conscious shopper. Like now
Yeah.
I've never cared before. I'm like, oh, this sweater's on sale for $16. I'm like, great. I don't shop at like Shein or like
Yeah.
Temu or whatever, but like, sometimes like my favorite websites like Shopbop or whatever it is will have a sale. And I'm like, wow, this sweater. And then you look and it's like acrylic or whatever it is. You're like, okay, yeah. Yeah,
Oh my
that's why
God.
it's so cheap and it's not good for you, but a girl's got to shop
You're
in
like
this
influencing
economy.
you're like influencing me to like start shopping sustainably now.
I will say, you guys, I do think about the brands, if nothing else, that I will be able to sell later on.
Mm,
So you can keep things in the ecosystem.
yeah.
It's called circular fashion. So you buy something and then instead of throwing it away, and obviously there are places to donate, but if you want to get money back for something, you sell it. Maybe you don't have time for a Poshmark or a Depop or whatever it is. There are platforms that can sell things for you and then you can make money back for it. And then
Yeah.
often it is for a higher quality brand, a higher quality piece. So that's why it might be good to invest in something that's higher quality that you can make money for later. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be. And I love Zara as much as the next girl, but I don't know. It's something that I've been thinking about lately, so I thought I would share.
This is a sustainability podcast now.
Yeah, it is. I know we've been talking about sustainability a lot. I'm sorry. Um,
I was gonna say nothing feels better though than being able to resell an item of mine on Poshmark because I feel like one, it's like the recycle, sustainable. One person's trash is another treasure. It just feels like you're helping the environment and you get
yeah.
some money out of it. So I'm with you. Like shop
Mhm.
well, shop quality, and you can then rehome it when you're done, when you're kind of over the article of clothing.
Exactly, Christy. What are your DEOs of the week?
Okay, I have a couple, but I'll just cover maybe one. This came up at our game night yesterday. My host stepsister brought this up and she's telling us how she met her girlfriend for the first time. And she goes, when I was saying bye to her, I rode my bike to meet her. Nothing is more humiliating than like riding off on a bike. And I was like, wait, that's so real. Like that actually is humiliating. And there's nothing humiliating about it. Like, all right, see you later. Then you like kickstart your bike and you start running. Like that's humiliating.
Or you're walking in the same direction as them and you don't realize it until after you say bye.
No, no, like that gives me social like serious anxiety. Like my heart goes into my stomach when you say
Wait,
that.
okay, this isn't funny, but we were just talking about this yesterday with some of my friends. Um, my husband's friend, I won't name names, got robbed at gunpoint a
Oh my
couple years
God.
ago. And he was talking about how they took his phone, wallet, and keys. And he was like, "Oh my God, not my keys. They're gonna steal my car." They were like, let's throw his keys. And so they were just gonna throw, he was like, "Okay, good. Yes, please throw my keys." They threw his keys in the same direction that they ended up like walking away. He had to like walk in the same direction as like his robbers.
Wait, that's so funny.
I know, we just thought that was really funny. Oh
That's
my
the
God, but
same thing though.
it's
That's like,
so
yeah.
true. That's always the worst. I actually get like really excited after like at the end of a night, if you're like out with like friends or coworkers or whoever it is, and in New York, like you're like, oh well, I'm going this way, like to this train. Some people are like, oh, I'm going to this train, like whatever it is. I'm like, I want to go to a train alone so I can just be done and walk by myself. It's
Yeah,
like
no,
my
no, no.
social battery is zapped. No,
Yeah.
no more small talk. I just
To
want to like just walk by myself to the train and like be done and say bye. It's like bye. Okay, I'm by myself now.
no, that is so real. I would, in fact, I would take a train just to not, like, that's totally out of the way so I don't have to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll like
Um,
make up. I'm like, actually, I'm going this way. It's the opposite way that I'm supposed to go, but I just don't want to walk with you anymore.
correct. Um, Last thing is, like on my Stanley, if you're on YouTube, you can see it, like the straw, how like if I'm wearing lipstick, sometimes it gets on the top and I need to like scrub it out. I just don't like that.
It gets grimy, and I don't even have a Stanley Cup. I'm anti. Actually, Stanley Cups to me are a good dark energy object. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. Everyone's like, but they keep the water so cold.
They do.
Try literally, I have a water bottle. I don't even know what brand this is. Iron Flask from like Target. This keeps my water freezing cold. It's stainless steel. There are
It's
so
the
many water
same.
bottles that do.
Yeah.
And I can go like this. If you're watching on video, I'm just closing the straw. I can throw it in my tote bag. A Stanley Cup,
You
you cannot
can't.
just throw in a bag. You have to have it in your cup. I feel like it's for people who drive around because
Yeah.
I live in New York. I'm not
I
driving around.
drive.
You have it in your cup holder. So it makes more sense for you. For
Yes.
me, I'm just
It's
like,
great for
what?
the cup holder at
It,
work to and from.
yeah, it is not functional for me, like at all. Like I need something that I can throw in a bag.
Actually, that's a distinction. My sister would always say, she goes, Stanley Cups are giving, and there's nothing wrong with Mormons. She goes, it's giving Mormon mommy blogger, which makes
Oh,
sense because
yes.
it's like the suburb side people could benefit, like me.
Yes.
If you're in a city, get lost. I can't even imagine hauling this to and from the bus, the train, if I lived in a city. That's a
Absolutely.
distinction.
You never really see them here. Like if
Yeah,
I
you
saw
wouldn't.
a Stanley Cup out in the wild here, I'd be like, "Whoa." I'm like, we have a, what's the word?
It's like, I don't even, I
We
don't,
have like someone who is here visiting. We have a
yeah.
tourist. We have a tourist.
No, genuinely, if you have a family and you live in a city, how do you move around life? Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I was about to reference Sex in the City again, and I know that you wouldn't understand the reference, so never
Yeah, no.
mind.
It's so bad.
Um,
It's so bad.
you need to watch it.
I
But yeah, and
will.
also the fact that Stanley Cups, like they have this whole weird like subculture where people are like, I need the accessories and the Stanley Cup charms, and I need the new
Oh,
new
yeah.
print. Like they need it's like again, not to get on my like soapbox about sustainability, but it's such a culture of like overconsumption. It's like it's a water bottle. Like just get any water bottle, any reusable water bottle. Love a reusable water bottle. That's a very sustainable thing to have. But like, why do you need fucking water bottle charms?
You don't. It's so excessive. You're right. And I am giving in to the overconsumption of it all. And I love it.
I
It's
mean,
like
it
my
works for
security.
you and your lifestyle. Again, like if you're someone who drives a lot, I feel like it makes sense for you. I totally,
Yeah,
I'm not hating on them. It just for my lifestyle, I don't no, it doesn't fit in.
makes sense. Well, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Dark Energy Tuesday. If you guys could go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram at SnarkBaitPod, at xnozal, at Soph_Ross. YouTube is the same, TikTok is the same. We're trying to grow all of our social presences, so we would very much appreciate a follow.
And
Thank
a
you.
5-star review,
Oh, a
please.
5-star review. Sophie puts together all of our 5-star review roundups and posts it on our grid. So you'll be able to be featured there. And thank you to Jordan, our producer, Jenna, our social manager, and Olivia, our researcher. And we are so excited to talk about a much requested person in 2 days on Thursday's main episode. So looking forward to that. Anything I missed?
No, I just also want to say, you guys, that there was so much on our list today that we didn't get to cover. So, next week we will be touching on if there's something that we missed. We'll hopefully get to it next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk to you guys in 2 days and have a
Thanks
good
for
rest of your week.
listening.
Bye.
Bye.